like to call to order the Liberal City Commission meeting for this Tuesday, July the 11th. May we have roll call, please?
Carlisle.
Here.
Commissioner Aragon.
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
Vice Mayor Martinez.
Here.
And Mayor Denoyer.
Here.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
All right, will you please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the invocation as given by Pastor Rex Petty of Faith Tabernacle Church. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you please join with me as we bow for order prayer? Lord, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the many blessings that you provide for us each and every day. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to be here for this meeting tonight. Bless all of our city commissioners. I pray that you will keep them in good health, strengthen them, bless their families as well. And Lord, I pray you'll give them wisdom tonight as they work through the difficult situations that they have to deal with sometimes. And I pray, Lord, that you'll help them to make wise choices, wise decisions, and just thank you for them as they give of their time and their efforts and their energy and their talents to help make the city of Liberal the best place that it can be. Thank you again for this time here this evening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Rick.
very much.
Rick. Okay. Yeah. All right, first item up on the agenda tonight is awards, proclamations, and presentations. Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 2, which is the approval of the agenda.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? You're opposed or for?
No, for.
Okay.
You went too quick.
You were a little late. Motion carries 5-0. All right, next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the June 27th regular meeting. Are any additions or corrections to those minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the motion to approve as presented.
Make a motion to approve the June 27, 2017 regular meeting minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Carlisle. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice Mayor Martinez. Any discussion on the minutes of the last meeting? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 4, which is items from citizens. Are there any citizens in the audience that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Please come forward, state your name and address in an audible tone for the record as I read the rules. Advance to the podium. Presentation shall be limited to 5 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. The commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel, and the commission does not take action on subjects not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Again, please state your name and address in an audible tone for the record.
Rita Isaacs, 406 Princeton, and I may need more than 5 minutes tonight. 2 weeks have gone by, and I haven't heard anything from you guys. Have you heard back from the letters you were supposed to send?
That I did send?
You did not send.
No, that I did send.
You did send. Okay,
Yes.
what have you heard back?
I did not hear back, but I believe they communicated directly with the city as per the last meeting.
And that is what?
Well, whatever the city read at the last meeting.
Tim, would you
That's
like
what
to
I
come?
heard.
I'm going to ask Tim Lunsford to come forward. He is the city IT director. He's had direct communications with CEDO Media. In fact, they were out here, I believe, last week. So Tim, please give Ms. Isaacs an update.
We've been in contact with some of the had technicians over here. They brought out some spare modulators that wouldn't necessarily all new.
Could you speak up a little bit, Tim?
Maybe get.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so we brought out the parts that we thought were bad, and we swapped them out and fixed the problem. So we spent.
They can't hear you in the back, too.
I'm
Is this working?
sorry, I'm kind of soft spoken. We swapped out as many parts as we possibly could, and the parts that we thought were bad didn't fix the problem. So we spent pretty much the majority of the day, just city personnel over here Friday, swapping out parts that we had available to us, even though it's not necessarily our equipment. Trying to troubleshoot it the best we can, and nothing that we get fixed. I was in contact with the representative over there, and he was going to check on another piece of equipment that could be a potential problem over there.
On their end.
On their end, on the head end over there, what they consider the head end. But in the meantime, we made the decision, we're gonna order our own modulator over here. That way we can eliminate the possibility of anything in that room being the cause of the problem. So, right now, we're waiting on that part we just ordered yesterday. And up until this point, we're trying to diagnose what is the cause of the problem, or at least channel it to them.
So that is still not on.
That is correct. It was working yesterday, video, and then about at noon, it just went black. And I was in contact with their rep today to ask him if anything had changed, and I haven't heard anything back from him today, as of right now.
But where's him? Where's he from?
He's the local representative at this office. That's the person
So we're still wrapped up in that one little room. Friday mornings only.
Yeah.
What, a couple hours Friday morning, that's it?
No, the entire day. The issue is we only get 1 day a week over. Because this room is held up like court.
This is a municipal court building.
It's municipal court, so we can't get in here.
How about after hours? You have the power? Get them in here after hours?
Without the,
without-
As far as, I can't say that for Zito Media. I don't have any control
But
over
you
this.
have control over this room, could be opened, so Zito could come in.
if they were willing to work
Yeah,
after
if they
hours.
If they're willing to work after hours as well.
Yes.
Have you
But-
asked them? No?
I don't think so. I think they're waiting on a part, so
Right now, we're waiting on that part to come in, and we'll get that installed as soon as it gets here.
Do you have any timelines for anything?
We have timelines as best as we can from the people that we order the parts from. The estimate on their website said it would ship in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Now, I don't know if that means it's going to ship out sooner or not. That's best case scenario is what we can tell right now, is that part will be shipped out in 2 weeks. We paid for 2 days shipping off of that 2-week period. So that's where it stands as right now.
Will you be handling it when it comes in?
Absolutely.
You will,
Yes, ma'am.
by yourself?
Yeah.
And your department will.
Well, my department, yeah. I've already been in contact with Zito to make sure that that piece of equipment will work with their system, and it will. So all that groundwork's done. We just have to make sure.
So you're familiar with all that equipment that applies to this?
Yes. Absolutely.
So in layman's term, on Friday, you swapped out all pieces of equipment that could be swapped
There's
out.
3 back there, and we resorted to using the original piece of equipment because of the other 2 being much older and can make and model than even the one that we had back there. Now, mind you, these were provided by Zito, our pieces of equipment, but they brought over what they could.
Okay. So when that failed to work, the city ordered at our own expense, a piece of equipment to fix Zito's problem.
Potentially, I mean, there's always the possibility that it still could lie on the head end over there.
In their end.
But we wanted to make sure that the problem didn't sit back there and they're waiting on, we're trying to troubleshoot something when it sat back there, or it originated from there. So we wanted to make 100% certain that that room was as solid as it could be when it came to pushing the signal from there over to there. Now, once it leaves this room, we can't necessarily control that because it's their lines from this room out. But we can have a much easier time trying to diagnose where that problem lies, or at least that piece of the puzzle would be out of the picture.
Tim, is it a hard line or is it a signal that goes across?
It's hard.
It's a hard line.
copper.
Have they checked the lines from point A to point B?
That I'm not certain of. I doubt it.
Okay.
I don't think that we didn't consider that yet.
Okay.
But
Are you talking about the little strands that you're talking about?
well, the cable line that comes into your house, those wires that you.
Yes.
Okay, it's that same kind
Okay.
of cable. My thought on that though is that it's probably not that because we're still getting, up until yesterday, we're still getting video. And if the audio and the video are married to that signal that goes over there from here, then it's probably not the cable. It's probably something else.
Probably wouldn't be getting anything at all.
We wouldn't be getting anything, correct?
Well, let me ask you this. When is your contract up for the franchise? How much time are we looking at to work on this before it's gone, no matter what?
I couldn't say that off the top of my head.
Chris, do you know when the franchise agreement with,
Are they just going to wait us out? Is that what this is?
Well, the city does not have a franchise with Zito.
the city?
Oh, that's right.
The city
Because of
does
the
not
state.
because it goes through the state, through the Kansas Corporation Commission. So that is strictly, the franchise agreement is granted to Zito from the Kansas Corporation Commission.
Okay,
So,
okay. Now,
okay, just 1 second, Rita. One quick second, guys. We have extended our 5 minutes. Do you wish to grant Ms. Isaacs an additional 5 minutes?
I make a motion, we grant.
All right, motion, second. And all those in favor? That was Commissioner Carlisle made the motion, Commissioner Harrison made the second. Vote 5-0. Go ahead.
well,
Just a
I
formality.
really had very interesting 2 weeks, including up till today. And I do know that we have the little lines, the strands. And I was told that it's for data and internet, but not TV. And they've got it deliverable and have a very robust supply that they can bring in.
Fiber.
Yes, yes, okay. And you have to stay here, I guess. Anyway, we got it for like Highway 54 south to Oklahoma. We have it 15th and Western. We have it National Beef and the landfill. And they say it would be very easy to make this available to us. But right now I know, so I'm thinking, how come we're not looking something, Zito is worthless and they are not going to do anything. I got a call yesterday and I went to see this lady, 100% housebound. She's in a wheelchair, she has use of her arms a little bit. She has nothing. She cannot leave the house. Her TV is it. She got a letter from them, a month ago, I guess, and they said, we're eliminating 25 to 30 of your channels. And they did, after prices. And so here just recently, I thought it was just me that have missed my good 3 channels. They've taken those off. And so you have somebody in the audience has called Philadelphia, Omaha, all the places that we've needed, gotten the run of. She finally, when Omaha, she was told that's just the way it is. And then she got a letter that told her she just might as well find some other place. They don't need her business. Now, this is what we're dealing with. I'm tired of it. So
And
I
once-
think it's your responsibility to check into this. It's Mr. Holland pointing at you because as the head of this, your citizens are very unhappy. And I think you should take the lead for it, and I think your commissioners should back you, and as well as Shirley here, and get this taken care of. Don't wait for the franchise to go out and everything else.
And again, Ms. Isaacs, as I have stated before and other commissioners have stated, Zito Media is a private business.
I know that.
If I go to Walmart and there are only 3 checkers open and there are lines all the way back to the back of the store,
Yes.
is it the city's responsibility to fix that? It is not.
This is true.
Zito Media is a private business.
That's right.
And we do not have any control over the channels that they offer, the channels they decide to drop, and the prices that they run. We have zero
But
control
what
over
I'm
that.
saying is, they're unreliable. What are you doing to go around that and find us something that is reliable?
I have called Cox Communication, and at this time, they are not interested in expanding any further service in the economy that we are currently experiencing. I have talked to Cox Communications, and they're not currently looking at expanding in any new territories right at this particular time.
Are you
They
aware-
will consider us in the future, but at this particular time, they are not interested in expanding.
What about the one over at Hugoton? What about Doug Brewer?
We already
Have
have
you checked with
SWKO
him?
here in Liberal. SWKO is here in Liberal as well. But again, it will cost millions of dollars because they would either have to buy Zito's line or run all brand new, or they would have to pay for access to those fiber optics.
Well, Zito's paying for it right now. They're renting, but they could do more than that. I've lost my train of thought here. I'm getting a little excited myself. I feel like if the only way you're going to get in, you've got to have internet in Liberal. What are you doing for all these hotels that are coming in? How are you being provided? What are you offering them? If you can't get it in your home, how are you offering them?
Again, there are several internet providers that are privately owned that are providing service, whether it is SWKO, whether it is Conestoga, whether it is Zito, or whatever they choose. I have AT&T at my house that is run through my phone lines. There are several options, and that's how those folks are operating at their businesses. Mr. Carlisle, what do you have in your businesses?
AT&T.
AT&T. There are several options there. But we do also run the risk of Zito saying, we've had enough, and we're just going to shut off service to Liberal, because we are the
Well-
only city in the state that Zito serves,
And they're doing a lousy job of it.
because we are the only city,
All right,
and
my
we are an
deal is,
afterthought.
you've got your 1 cent. Why can't we take some of that? That takes care of Liberal and the surrounding areas. Why can't, if that's what it is, and you have to
Take
spend
some
a
of the 1 cent
million
sales tax and do what, ma'am?
to use it to help provide internet service, get a company to come in or buy the new lines. Give incentive, you're talking about incentive to bring in new business to Liberal?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can find somebody like that if you've got an incentive to get them in. But as long as Zito gets by with this and they're hanging this thread over your head, we're going to walk out if you don't give us what we want.
They're not
We're
hanging
getting
that.
nothing.
They're not hanging that over our head. I have no cable. I have no TV service in my house whatsoever. I enjoy my peace and quiet. I mean,
But we're talking about this lady.
right.
She's not the only one. She would love to get out and do this. She cannot. She has nothing. So I think,
And again, as Vice Mayor Martinez said at the last meeting, there are other options here in Liberal, whether it's direct, whether
that's
it's
not for
dish.
everybody. It's not for everybody.
If you want reliable service, there are other options.
If you combine,
If you combine,
yeah.
what do you mean combine?
Well, it's like DirecTV, you're not going to get your cable.
No, it's a totally different
Yeah, stuff like
private
that.
business.
Yeah, so. Well, I'd like for you to look into it.
Anyway.
Seeing about you can find another company, give them a good incentive. You were talking about bringing in new businesses.
We'll talk to KCC and
In one, yeah.
I
like we've
appreciate that.
done before, and we'll let them know that the problems are, and if KCC can assist, then I think they will. So we'll try with the,
I will be back in 2 weeks.
yes, ma'am.
Do we need to direct legal counsel to follow up with Kansas Corporation Commission since she filed the original letters?
Well, and I sent the first letter to Zito, and then, Charlotte has sent additional letters. I'll get with Charlotte, and we'll
Okay.
send, and we'll contact them by phone and email and letter.
Okay.
And see what KCC can do to assist.
Do we have a consensus of the commission to direct the city manager to work with city council to pursue this with Kansas Corporation Commission?
Yes.
All right, we have a consensus, so thank you. Are there any other citizens that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Seeing none, move on to items from groups. Are there any groups that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda. All items are listed to be considered routine by the city commission and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a commission member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. There's nothing on the
Oh,
consent
there is
agenda. So,
That's right. Awesome.
seeing
So
there's-
I still move that we approve it.
we approve. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So,
I'll second the nothing.
all right. All those in favor of
Nothing.
consent agenda? All right. All right, agenda item number 7, which is ordinance number 4487, which amends the ordinance 4474 by adding a new section, 14-112, which amends section 182.1 of the standard traffic ordinance. And I do believe this deals with our seatbelt ordinance, correct, Chief?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
This item, just basically what it is, Senate Bill 89 increased the fee for seatbelt violations from $10 to $30, and this will follow with that. It went into effect July 1st.
Okay.
I mean, the chief gets an extra $20 out of it. What do you think?
He might be able to afford it. He might be able to afford it Rufino's now.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for staff on the amendment of the standard traffic ordinance code? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion to approve as presented.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve ordinance number 4487.
Second. Yeah.
A motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle.
No, Aragon.
Commissioner Aragon. Well, you guys sound alike. You need to separate a chair there. All right. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is ordinance 4488, which codifies the 2017 city code for the city of Liberal. Debbie?
Good evening, Your Honor, Commissioners. This evening we have reading of ordinance number 4488, which will codify the 2017 code book. It's been since 2000 that we codified all the ordinances into one book. All those have been calculated into this new 2017 version, which I think you all have a copy of, whether it be paper or digital. And this ordinance will simply adopt the code.
So
And then changes can be made after that time by ordinance.
it's been 17 years since the code
Yes.
book's been updated? How
That's what I
often-
found, and
How often are we supposed to update it?
I don't really know if there's a set rule.
I want to get on a regular schedule, so we're not so far behind.
Yeah.
So,
For some reason, I was thinking every 3 years, but
I was thinking probably 10 or 12 years, something to that effect.
it's a lot of work on somebody, though, at 10
Yeah,
years, so.
I've spent quite a bit of time just getting everything updated, making sure I didn't miss anything.
Bear with me on this.
Sure.
On August the 25th, we adopted the parking ordinance.
Of this year.
No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay.
4457.
Okay.
That's in the code book under chapter 14, section 14-307 right now. I think we need to bring that back up to relook at that and add a grandfather clause in that. Because with council, there's a feeling that that's not quite legal without the grandfather clause.
what's it say, Jed?
Well, that's the one with the 4 inches concrete, asphalt, and gravel in the driveways and things like that, which you can't force a homeowner to do that if he's already lived in his house for 20 years. You know, you can force the new owners to do it, but you can't force the owners, per se, now to do it.
Are we talking about front yard parking?
Talking about the improved surface, where we went in and put specifics in. Commissioner Carlisle is requesting that we revisit that and add a grandfather clause to that for those that currently have, whether it's asphalt or cement.
And I don't have a problem doing that if what Jack says is right, if that's the legal thing. So
Well, okay, so what I said is that every ordinance that the city adopts is presumed to be legal. You know, we did discuss at the time whether the ordinance should have a grandfather clause. I know it was the decision of code enforcement to not put a grandfather clause in. And I cannot remember if that was a matter of discussion when it was brought in front of the commission at that time. I explained it to Commissioner Carlisle before the meeting that, it's certainly the commission's prerogative to revisit any of the codes that, that you all want to revisit. But I do believe that until some court tells us otherwise, that every ordinance that the city has adopted is presumed to be legal. So,
So
we just need to.
And I don't have it in front of me. I think, was it a dust-free surface?
I haven't looked at it.
Yes, I believe it is dust-free.
I haven't looked at it.
I think, and memory calls, and we can look into that, is.
There's the one with like the 40% concrete used for parking.
But if I'm understanding legal counsel correctly, that it is presumed to be legal, and you're saying it's not.
Well, I'm saying that it could be challenged real easy in court.
Okay.
Could we bring that back next
The only
week?
thing I'm asking is that,
Yeah.
little provision put in there of grandfather to,
I don't know that I'm in favor of grandfathering anything like that.
you can't.
Anyway, we just need to adopt this.
Yeah.
What's there
It's
right
not
now,
legal
right?
Because you can't.
We
force a
can-
homeowner to.
We can adopt this tonight
Yes.
and then revisit
Yes.
that particular code.
Absolutely, because whether the parking ordinance is in the code book that was put together by Debbie or not, it's still the law of the city right now.
Yeah.
I mean, so, if we were to like pull it out from the code book, that's not going to do anything.
No. So,
It's the
yeah.
law.
And, to be honest, I would say 90% of the phone calls I have gotten on this ordinance were from people that said, I've lived here for 20 years and it's been good enough for that, now it's not. So I don't have a problem revisiting that whatsoever.
I know there was a one-year effective date for the ordinance, but I don't think there was what you call grandfathered, that certain areas would be grandfathered in.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Well, and we can discuss this later, but when we do revisit that, I think it should also be owner-specific as well because of how, if somebody changes and sells their property
Well, wait,
and adds something new.
What about a guy that has 50 rentals? He owns them all, but he hasn't lived in any of them.
Right.
So you're saying he didn't have to improve his services?
No, I'm not talking about it. I'm just talking about, I don't know how grandfather clause would work on that.
Well,
I'm just talking about the homeowners, the elderly that's lived there in their house for 50 years and got that, little gravel.
But what's the difference between them and somebody that's owned rental property for that long?
no, there would be no difference if,
That's what I feared.
if owners of rental property, they are responsible for making the improvements.
Right.
And presumably, if there were a grandfather clause and they'd owned these 20 rental houses for 20 years, then they would be grandfathered in as well.
That's what I don't, that scares me.
But the minute they sell them, then the new owners would have to come up to date. Is that correct?
I think we're creating a problem that's not a problem.
Yeah, I'd have to give some thought to that because we'd have to let the potential buyers know that if they bought this property that they were looking at.
I'm okay with bringing it back and having a discussion.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that at all. So,
Sounds like something we need to look at.
And then, we'd also look at if it is gravel and through years of driving on it, if it has sunk into the dirt and is no longer visible or grass has grown through, there's a lot of different things to look at. So I think
I'll get with building
it makes
department
sense
and we'll bring
to
that
revisit it.
back next meeting.
I mean, there will probably be, as Debbie and I discussed, any number of these ordinances that were, I think a lot of them that predate 2000 that maybe need some tweaks. And we'll be doing that as time permits going forward.
Okay.
So everything that's on the books, including the one that you passed, just item number 7 on the agenda, is in your code book. That's the 2017 version.
do we need to do something about making this a little more timely update too?
We can address that. We're looking at either a 3-year or
So why don't we
each year.
Why don't we adopt-
And then do as inserts.
Why don't we adopt the city codes as presented and then add, can we add an item that says the city codes will be updated every 5 years?
Well,
Can we add
would
that?
recommend 2
2 years? Okay.
years.
Okay, let me try this. I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 4488, codifying the 2017 city code of the city of Liberal, and add language to that this is something that should be undertaken every 2 years.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Jack, you got that? Second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And also, do we need to make mention of bringing back Jack's discussion? Is that just going to be, you guys will get?
We'll
you guys
just
will get it
add
back
that to
on?
the agenda for 2 weeks.
All right, that's good.
You might see if you have any others that need to be tweaked.
As
here in a
time
couple
allows.
Can you read all that?
Probably not within a couple of weeks, but I will do my best to be timely on some of it.
I just thought if we was
There's some
gonna
old
revisit,
ordinances on
you know,
there.
we might as well.
Well, and I think Mr. Gutenberg originally printed this one, didn't he? Right after he finished with the Bible. So, all right, we'll move on to agenda item number 9, Community Development Block Grant Application for Housing Rehab. We're going to start with a public hearing, 9A. I now declare the public hearing open. Have all the proper notices been filed?
Yes, they have, Your Honor.
All right, now I invite members of staff to testify. Karen?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. This item is, as we discussed a couple of weeks ago, it's a community development block grant through the Department of Commerce. We did a publication to notify the public that we're going to apply for this grant. I have sent letters to some people in the community to see if there's an interest, and there seems to be. So where we're at on it right now is just getting the ball rolling and signing contracts with grants.
Does the commission have any questions for Mr. Frenier? No. All right, anybody else in the audience want to address the Community Block Development Grant?
What's this block grant gonna do?
It'll provide funds to rehab properties. We'll spend up to $25,000 per house. It'll address health and safety issues.
Didn't we
like-
talk about that here about 2 weeks ago or a month ago?
We did, and to get your permission to go forward
Yes.
with it, because we do need to make publications and, start with cost. So Commerce requires a resolution stating that we can apply for it. So Ransom, after we did get the blessing to go ahead, then we started the paperwork.
All right, any further questions? Anybody from the audience, questions? All right, seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. We'll move on to agenda item 9B, which is Resolution 2266, certifying legal authority to apply for the Kansas Small Cities Community Development Block Grant.
Your Honor, I make a motion, we approve ordinance, resolution, number 2266.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Carlisle, second by Commissioner Aragon. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 9C, grant writing proposal agreement with Ransom Financial. Karen?
And that is included, the proposal for the grant writing is a fee of $6,500.
This is for them to write, to apply for this grant?
Yes, that's separate from the actual, The-
Consultant contract.
yeah, the consultant contract. So that would be just for the grant itself. So that's the fee that we do pay that's not contingent.
Okay. And that money comes from where?
Housing,
From the housing department? Okay. I didn't know if it was a percentage of the grant or not. Okay.
no.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the grant writing proposal agreement with Ransom Financial.
Second.
So a motion by Commissioner Harrison, a second by Commissioner Aragon. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is 9D, consultant contract between the City of Liberal and Ransom Financial.
The consultant contract is the one that is contingent upon receiving the grant. So we don't pay them anything if we don't receive the grant.
Okay, I'll make the motion, we accept the consultant contract between the city and Ransom Financial Service contingent on the award of the CDBG
G housing grant in the amount of $23,800.
Okay. Motion by Vice Mayor Martinez. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any further discussion?
So we're gonna pay Ransom Financial $30,000 on this deal? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it'll be probably a 2-year period, a year and a half to 2 years that we do the grant.
And how much is the grant?
The grant from them is, from Commerce is $300,000, and then we have matching funds in the amount of $100,000 that were approved at that last meeting that we did.
So about 10% of the grant is what would pay if we receive the grant, correct?
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions? All those in favor? Sorry.
That's just the maximum.
Right.
It could be less than, right?
We have changed that
Okay.
language on page 2, and and you haven't got a copy yet. It's a flat
Okay.
fee of that amount.
Okay.
So 23.8 plus the 65 if we get the grant, the CDBG grant. Okay. Any further discussion, questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 10, which is firefighter protective gear purchase. I believe we have Mr. Polton, Skeety.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, come to you tonight requesting the purchase of 5 sets of PPE or bunker gear for our firefighters. This is kind of a housekeeping issue. We do this annually. It's part of a rotation. Captain Brian Fornwalt's in charge of this program. We have about a 5 to 10 year window that we can utilize this fire gear, but of course, due to extreme conditions and things that we go through, sometimes it lasts the 10 years, sometimes it doesn't. So we try to do about a 5 to 7 year program. We did request quotes from 3 different companies. One was extremely high. The other 2 were really close. $228 separated the 2. We are requesting to not go with the low bid because we have been using Weiss Fire and Safety for the last 3 or 4 purchases, and we'd like to keep the bunker gear the same. That way we can interchange it. If somebody has a different size top or different size bottoms, we can interchange those. So staff recommendation is to approve the expenditure of funds at the amount of $8,078 to come from the protective gear and equipment line item.
Any questions for Skeety? We're only talking about about $350 difference.
$228.
$228?
$228
Okay.
difference.
Yeah, sorry, $228.
And we have had extremely good luck with the Inotex gear and with the company that supplies us with that.
Any further questions?
Your Honor, make a motion that we approve the expenditure of funds for the 5 sets of Inotex bunker gear from Weiss Fire and Safety in the amount of $8,078 to come from protective gear.
I'll second that.
A motion by Commissioner Aragon with a second by Vice Mayor Martinez. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next item up on the agenda is the robotics program tablets from the Mid-America Air Museum.
Good evening, Commissioners, Vice Mayor and Mayor. I'm Ramey, and this is Peggy. We work with the robotics program, and we'd like to update our equipment and from laptops and desktops and that to iPads for the kids to use in our summer program and in our competition space and that too. So that's what we're asking for, just to update our equipment. We see that we know that you have some bids, and I think there's another bid that's not on your paper in that came later.
And just for clarification, there are quotes. It was not a bid. And as Ramey had stated, Technology for All, who in your packet had stated that there was no quote. He came in the 11th hour, 4:47 on Friday afternoon after the commission packets had gone out. Tim, do you want to address this at all? Commissioners have any questions?
I do for Tim.
Okay.
We got quotes from a CDW-G, whatever that is. Where they at?
They're out of Chicago. We order from them quite extensively. I mean, they've been very, very good for us.
And B&H Photo?
They're out of New York. And they also got their quotes in the day that I asked them.
Yeah, but I'm looking at $200 difference.
And I'm not recommending one way or the other.
I think we all got the same bid sheet from Technology. Come on, it's a local company. It's, what is it, $200 higher?
$200, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to have any problem.
No.
I mean,
And I think it needs also to be explained that the funds are gifted
Yeah.
funds, so it's not coming out of a museum's budget or,
And if you have a problem, you just go down the street. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely, you know, and
if them ladies are like me, they don't understand but an on and off button.
oh, they're not like you.
That's probably thank God on that one.
you know, I'm glad they finally came back with the bid, because I had been in touch with them pretty much the entire day before the packets went out, and it was looking like there was not gonna be anything from them, and, and that's why the packet was in yours said what it said, is because when they went out, we didn't have it from them. So,
Tim and I have talked today, and Taylor and I had talked Friday evening, and needless to say, I called him in, not necessarily on the carpet, but I believe the commission had given Tim direction to reach out to the local guy, and with him not giving a quote, I was just a little bit upset. And Taylor now has an understanding that to be in the game, you got to get off the bench. So,
a timely fashion is, I mean, that's all I ask, is get it to me in a timely manner, otherwise we're not gonna know whether or not you're interested or not.
exactly. And we all understand busy, but, you know,
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of 10 new iPad Air model in the quote from Technology from All in the amount of $3,499.90.
I'll second that.
motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion for him? Any further discussion?
Kitchen's fine.
Yeah,
that would be
probably
fine.
do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've amended the motion. We amend the second?
Yep.
We amend the second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Next item up on the agenda is agenda item number 12, which is the annual chip seal bid award.
This is Harrison's buddy.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. On Thursday, June 22nd, 2017, city staff opened the annual chip seal bids, and we sent 9 invitations out to vendors, and only 2 packets were requested. We received the packet from B&H Company on the amount of $1.29 a square yard. And the total cost not to exceed is $282,604.75 budget. City staff requests commission's consideration of the bid of $1.29 a square yard from B&H Paving.
Is that cheaper than last time?
5 cents cheaper. The oil is 5 cents cheaper, but the rock went up, so.
The oil price is cheaper, yeah, okay.
It's still, it's about the same price that we got last year.
At least it did go down.
And what area of town are you going to be chip sealing?
We're going to do from 2nd Street north, and then from Kansas Avenue east.
East to the east, okay.
And there might be, and we've discussed, there might be some additional projects that
Cedar.
are budgeted for that they would do, and we'll come to the commission with those.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd make a motion that we approve the bid of $129 per square yard with B&H Paving for the crack seal.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison, is there a
Just have to
second?
put not to exceed.
Oh, not to exceed $282,604.75.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion? Danny, could you remind the commission the project will not start immediately?
No, it will be late September. The reason that we're going to start late September is that give us time to try to get the millings over there on Freeman Street and Cedar. And also the other reason is because if we do it through the hot weather, we'll have a mess. Because it's too hot and kids start spending tires, and when they park, they peel off, and it will not be a good job. So
when we do Freeman and
we're going to do it at the same time.
they'll
We
go
do-
over with the sand and gravel.
And we will come to you with that,
Yeah.
that amount for that project, which is in the Highway 54
Right. Highway 54, right.
project that the city commission approved.
That's correct.
Any further questions for Danny? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
All right, next item up on the agenda is city manager's report. Mr. Hall.
Mayor, Commissioners, I think it's set out in an email, but just to let the public know, and I think they reported that we are addressing the new state law as far as punishment or fines now for the slides in amusement as the entire state is sorting this out. We do have permit and insurance, which is a big first requirement. We are waiting on inspection. We are one of many that are waiting on inspection. Our slides can remain open. It is one of those, they are insured and a permit has been obtained, but the inspection is as soon as he can get here. We hopefully will be in 2 weeks, within 2 weeks.
Either next week, or this week, or early next week.
So that is just something, just wanted to address, the commission and address the public that safety is a concern. This is new law. And I think there is several things that are being sorted out by the state is if you have a slide and you have an inner tube and you're something moving that forward, then one thought is that would be under this. If you use a slide and it's self-propelled going down, then this wouldn't apply. So some things are being sorted out by the state.
That was all triggered over that Slitter bond deal last summer on the raft.
So wanted to make the public aware, and of course the commission, which I sent out some information that we've got that under control and we're addressing it. And it is one of those that I think over this next enforcement, over this next year period, some things will be actually resolved. But enforcement doesn't start until 2018. So,
And visiting with Representative Francis, when they come back in session in January, this is going to be one of the things that they will revisit to fine tune it. And right now, it's just a blanket policy, and they're going to tweak it and refine it to where parks like ours should not fall under this amusement park type of classification.
but it is good to make sure that you are insured and people are aware of it. So, other than that, the departments, I think Daniel will ask him to speak in a minute, just to inform the public of what's going on 15th Street. Daniel put that out about a week ago, letting people know that this is coming, and it is one of those that they've started. I'll let him explain that, but the other departments, a lot of things going on, improvements to the parks. I want to thank Parks, of course, Always Street, the others. We've just got a lot of things going on, a lot of activity, and staff is, cross our fingers, we don't have any bad storms or anything, but we're gradually catching up. And I think the public's been patient. I want to commend Parks for not dropping the ball at all. They've just kept on top of those, even though the storms that have come and distractions and getting late starts on things, they continually catch up and move forward. But thank all the departments. It takes all of them to make this work, and if there's any questions by the City Commission, I'll be glad to answer those.
Does the commission have questions for City Manager, Mr. Hall?
Daniel, will you kind of explain 15th Street?
Yeah, on 15th Street, they're going to take the first 2 inches all the way across, and then they're going to come back and take the other 2 extra 2 inches. That's going to be 4 inches overlay, and they're going to try to do one lane at a time. So they'll mill the rest of the 2 inches in the morning, and then they'll pour it, they lay it on the evening. I mean, that's what they're hoping to do.
Sure.
So, and they're thinking maybe, well, let's say they'll probably be done in 6 days, weather permitted. We put 2 weeks on the paper, because you never know what can happen, but that's the plan.
So it should be a short inconvenience.
They're getting their done today, I can tell you
So, I mean,
that.
it's still be, traffic can still go through.
Sure. And that's something that, it's a little confusing at times, but if people will just slow down, you can figure it out. And there are other routes to go besides 15th Street. I forget and I go down it, but there's a way for you to get down through there, but
There is 11th Street.
please be careful though when you go by
What
those
they did,
guys.
with the channel, the traffic, the camera was not catching on some of that traffic, so what they did, they went up there and put it to cycle where the camera is not catching, so the camera right now is not working.
It's good to know.
So that way, everybody get their chance to go.
Right.
One of the lanes was just standing there and they never changed because it was not catching.
The lens wasn't dirty?
Excuse me? The lens, no.
Okay. Anything else, Tony? Anything else?
That would be it.
15th, all right. Items from commissioners, agenda item number 4. We will start with Commissioner Aragon tonight.
Just to thank all the city staff. I know you all are really busy, doing a lot of things, a lot of good things happening. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Commissioner Carlisle.
Last city commission meeting, there was some tension between Chief Seal and I over the drug dog. After the meeting, Mr. Seal felt like that maybe I threw him and his officers underneath the bus, and that was not my intention, and I want to publicly apologize to you and your officers for that.
Anything else, Commissioner
That's
Carlisle?
it.
All right, Commissioner Harrison.
That was nice. Rude. I appreciate that. Thanks to all of city staff for all you do every day, especially the folks working out in the weather. And I can't say enough about how tough a job that is. I work outside myself, and I try to get my stuff done early enough that I don't have to do much in the afternoon except jump in a feed truck and turn the air conditioner on. But you see guys on mowers, you see guys walking around, you see guys on the asphalt everywhere, and just I can't say enough about those guys. They work every day, no matter the weather, and all just to make our community a better place. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Martinez.
I want to update about an item that guys and staff took care of around Garfield School. It's no longer a one-way around there now.
It's a two-way.
It's a two-way, back to the way it was, since that school's not going to be utilized. So thank you guys for taking care of that.
You remember what it was like before the school was there?
That's a little ways back.
Tony used to fish in Frog Pond.
55 years ago. And is there any, probably a question for Daniel, is there any update on what the school project's going on? I know you do a good job keeping us informed, but
Well, right now,
we've had some
the
questions.
issue is that they found a lot of utilities there. They have the gas lines, fibers, phone lines, and then up there where it's kind of interacting with
The
with
depth.
the grade they're gonna do. So they want to go ahead, I think they broke the gas line 3 times.
Wow.
And the water line 1 time. And so it was just too much stuff going on there, but they're going to go ahead and finish those 3 blocks from Kansas Avenue East. And then after that, they're waiting for Kings Enterprises to get the sewer storm done on the back of the schools. And they cannot do anything until they get all that laid out. Because we got a water issue, so then what they're going to do, they're going to drain all that water to the retaining pond on the school. So in the meantime, right now, they got all the crush concrete laid down, and Jack is gonna come in and do the curb and gutter. In the meantime, that's the reason they went over to 15th Street and get that done. And they will come back and get those 3 blocks done, and then they're not gonna have nothing to do, so they're gonna go to Oklahoma, and they got a job over there that I think is 2 weeks. And by that time, when they come back, they're hoping get something done up there on the sewer system.
So they're waiting on the utility companies to do something with their stuff?
Yeah,
Is
but
that basically?
Yeah, the thing is, if you call them, they say it takes 8 weeks for the work order to work. And after that, they have to find a contractor and hire him to do the job. So we're talking about 3 months, 3.5 months.
So we may not get the streets done before school.
What we're hoping to get is those 3 blocks done, and maybe Warren Street, and then this street block, I think it's Larry and Charles.
Yeah.
They're hoping to get those done. Like all the bins, because I think Ken Price ordered those boxes, and he barely ordering right now, so I don't know how long it's going to take to get it back. So it's going to take time, but we're hoping to get those.
What about our Kansas Avenue project?
Kansas Avenue project, the bid's going to come in on the 18th, I guess?
18th, yes.
This month. And as soon as they get it, if there's nothing else ready from the schools, we're hoping for them to start on Kansas
That was my
Avenue.
question.
The school is going to come first, but they're.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
So that's what they're out there, so.
But we do, we've already discussed with the schools and made them aware that occupancy doesn't relate to the streets, and what we will work with J&R Sand, that the roads, should they not be complete, will still be drivable.
Sure.
And that will coincide with our fire service, that they would be, should something bad happen, they would be able to get in there and not be on a soft surface or whatever. So we think we've got that, and the school was very understanding. They thought they had to have all that done before they could open, and we assured them that we would work with them, and that way the kids could start school on time.
I believe you have the floor,
Okay.
Vice Mayor Martinez.
I also want to thank all the staff, and then had a compliment about our parks. We had some out-of-town visitors here, and they used Light Park, rented one of our shelters, and they was just amazed how clean it was and well-kept from years ago when they said there was a bear cage there. So.
And the barrel, and the wooden barrel.
Yeah. But thank all you guys for your stuff.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yes, that leaves me. I would like to thank city staff, of course, with it being 104, 105, 106. Once you hit the 100-degree mark, it's really immaterial, but still out there doing it day to day. Appreciate that. Appreciate the officers because in addition to being out, they're also wearing an additional, in fire department as well, wearing all this extra gear to keep us safe. So guys, thank you. And I can't do enough to say stay hydrated, stay hydrated, stay hydrated. Last city commission meeting, I'd asked the city manager to set up a meeting with Stewart County. He'd made the phone call to April, and she could not get her commissioners nailed down until later in August, so that meeting is still coming. However, last night I was driving home from work and I noticed Fairgrounds Lane was lined with cones. So I called April and asked, did you guys approve fixing this? What's going on? She's on vacation. She didn't have any idea what was going on, so she called Tony. Well, in the interim, I went out there and looked, and J&R Sand is lining that with cones and parking their equipment over there. However, that did trigger a conversation with Tony. Him and I had talked, and this could possibly be another agenda item for next meeting as well. The county is willing to partner with the city to fix Fairgrounds Lane. He contacted Todd with J&R Sand. They would do the milling for $5,000. Mike Hess with the B&H Paving would later come in and seal that for an additional $3,000. We would use the millings that J&R Sand would take from that road, and we would have to add some additional millings because, as we know, it's pretty much hit and miss. And then we would partner with the chip seal rock to finish that off. So anywhere from $8,000 to $9,000. The city would provide some of the millings. The county would do 100% of the work after J&R Sand was done, and then we would split the bill down the middle, pending approval from the county commission. But Tony thought this was a doable project, anywhere from $8,000 to $9,000. We could have Fairgrounds Lane finally, after all these years, fixed. And it would cost the city $4,000, maybe $4,500. Again, I would like to see this discussed on an agenda item. but I just wanted to update the commission that it was totally a fluke, because when I saw those cones, I thought maybe they decided to do it on their own. So that kind of spawned the conversation. Daniel and I have talked, and Daniel has gotten with Mark, and we thought it best if we brought it as an agenda item to decide. County will meet on Monday night, and they're looking at adding this to their agenda as well. But whether it's a street, whether it's an alley, it is used by a lot of people. So if we can get it done, in my personal opinion, this cheaply, I would like to see us discuss that, and that's all I can add there. So, but other than that, gosh, 4th of July, fireworks was phenomenal. There was some city money went to that, along with Pizza Hut, Community Bank, and Liberal BJ's. So again, thank the community for coming out and supporting the BJ's and the city and the park, the church picnic, all of that on the 4th. So just a great day all the way around. So and that's all that I have. So let's move on to agenda item number 15, which would be the vouchers.
Your Honor, make a motion, we approve the vouchers in the amount of $1,128,576.80.
You get that much? A second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Aragon with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any discussion on the vouchers? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting